How do you catch a war elephant? With a giant mousetrap. No, it's not a punchline, it's actual history. Capturing these colossal animals wasn't just a matter of brute force, it called for patience, clever planning, and deep knowledge of elephant behavior. From the legions of ancient Rome to the armies of medieval Asia and even the colonial forces of the British Empire, war elephants played a powerful role in military history. In this video, we'll focus on India, where war elephants were especially prominent, particularly under the Mughals, and explore how a mousetrap somehow fits into all this. India's connection to elephants goes back thousands of years. They've served not only as beasts of burden and royal mounts, but also as weapons of war. By the Vedic period, elephants were already being used in conflict. The earliest documented Indian military structure, the fourfold army, included elephants right alongside infantry, cavalry, and chariots. In battles, they weren't on the sidelines. They were often the centerpiece of the formation. These animals acted as living tanks. They blocked advances, crushed enemy lines, or served as high platforms for archers and commanders. Their military value was clearly demonstrated in 1398 when the Mongol conqueror Timur set his sights on the Delhi Sultanate. Near Delhi, the Sultan's army brought out its trump-card war elephants. For a moment it looked like Timur's campaign might come to a crashing halt. But Timur devised a cunning counterattack. He lit bundles of straw on the backs of camels and sent them charging toward the elephants. Terrified by the flames and smoke, the elephants stampeded right back into their own lines, causing chaos. Timur, impressed by their power, didn't write them off. Instead, he added elephants to his own forces and later used them in his war against the Ottoman Empire. But elephants weren't just battlefield instruments. They held profound cultural and spiritual meaning in India. They were revered, especially in the form of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god associated with wisdom and the removal of obstacles. In royal courts, they symbolized wealth, prestige, and divine favor. According to the scholar Simon Digby, the Delhi Sultanate maintained a herd of between 700 and 1,000 war elephants in the early 14th century, a massive undertaking by any standard. Why so many? Because, you see, capturing and keeping elephants was no easy task. Breeding elephants in captivity is extremely difficult, especially back then. Female elephants have long gestation periods and, well, babies require years of care before they're mature. That's why most war elephants were captured from the wild. Even then, only fully mature males, larger and more aggressive, were considered fit for battle. Historian Sava Daman Singh notes that elephants were generally not used in war until they were about 25 years old. Their prime years? Around age 60. Maintaining a functional war elephant took not just decades, but really a lifetime. That's why hunting elephants was so vital. Zia-ud-Din Barani, a 14th century historian, offers a vivid account of one such royal hunt. Sultan Firuz Shah Tughlaq ordered an entire forested area, home to a wild elephant herd, to be surrounded by a high wooden wall like a fortress. With only 2 exits, the space became a trap. Drummers and mahouts, or elephant handlers, entered and drove the animals back and forth between the exits. The constant pressure wore the elephants down. After several days of this psychological and physical stress, the exhausted elephants were subdued and captured. In the centuries that followed, Indian rulers, including the Mughals, refined these methods. Don't worry, the mousetrap is coming. Even after gunpowder weapons were introduced to the subcontinent, elephants didn't vanish from the battlefield. In fact, they remained central to military planning, and their use even increased for a time. But the arrival of gunpowder brought challenges. In 1526, Babur, a Timurid prince, launched an invasion of the Delhi Sultanate. The Sultan, Ibrahim Lodi, met him near Panipat with an enormous army, reportedly 100,000 troops and 1,000 war elephants. Babur, by contrast, had just 12,000 to 15,000 soldiers. But he had an edge-modern matchlock muskets and cannons. On April 20th, Ibrahim advanced. However, the battlefield's narrow layout restricted his ability to deploy such a massive force. Babur had built defensive structures and placed his muskets and cannons in strategic positions. As Ibrahim's forces closed in, gunfire tore holes in the advancing ranks. The elephants, never having encountered the thunderous noise and fire of gunpowder, panicked. They turned and trampled their own troops. Then Babur's cavalry swung around and attacked from the rear. The outcome was decisive, and Babur went on to found the Mughal Empire. Despite this setback, the Mughals didn't give up on elephants, they simply adapted. They began training their elephants to withstand loud noises and the chaos of gunfire. Venetian traveller Niccolò Manucci described how Emperor Aurangzeb's elephants were trained to remain calm under cannon fire, musket volleys, and even fireworks. Some elephants were even outfitted with swivel guns, small cannons that could turn and fire, giving these animals a new role as mobile artillery platforms. They were literally walking war machines. The Mughal emperors took great pride in their elephant herds. By the 17th century, their numbers had peaked. Historian Shireen Musvi estimates that the Mughal court alone kept around 40,000 elephants, far more than the estimated 25,000 wild elephants in all of India today. To keep those numbers up, wild elephants had to be captured regularly. Northern India, especially Bengal, Assam and Malwa, offered prime hunting grounds. The Mughals, known for their innovation, came up with increasingly sophisticated techniques. Emperor Akbar introduced a new tactic, surrounding a herd on three sides with beaters, while placing tame female elephants on the open fourth side. Drawn by the sight of the cows, the wild males would approach and walk straight into a prepared enclosure. Akbar's chronicler Abul Fazl documented four main elephant hunting techniques: Qaeda, Chorkaida, Guard and Bar. Even today, variations of these methods are used, not to hunt, but to manage the existing population of domesticated elephants in India, which hovers around 15,000. However, hunting is now illegal, and elephants are protected as an endangered species. Let's take a closer look at these four techniques. The Qaeda method was one of the oldest. It involved a large team of drummers and beaters entering the forest to disturb and terrify the herd with loud, chaotic rhythms. As the elephants fled, they were driven to exhaustion. Once they took shelter, often under large trees, skilled hunters crept up and tied them to the trunks with ropes. It was a dangerous job, but the payoff was worth it. Hunters received a quarter of the elephant's market value. Chorkaida was riskier still. A hunter would ride a trained female elephant and approach a wild male. This often triggered a confrontation between the animals. In the midst of the fight, the hunter had to throw a rope over the wild elephant's head or leg, trying to restrain it. Controlling the beast often required a whole team of trained elephants and mahouts. Then there was Gad, the most widely used method. It involved digging a pit and covering it with branches and grass. When a wild elephant passed nearby, hunters used noise, fire, and pressure to steer it into the trap. Once the animal fell in, it would struggle to climb out, gradually wearing itself out. Only then could it be safely tamed, and finally, bar the mousetrap. This method took patience and precise planning. Hunters would dig a deep trench around a herd's resting place, leaving just a single narrow exit. Outside that passage, they constructed a massive cage fitted with a gate, like a portcullis. Inside they placed food as bait. When a curious or hungry elephant entered, the hunters released the gate. It slammed shut, trapping the elephant inside, just like a live-action mousetrap. After capture, the real work began. Elephants underwent extensive training, sometimes lasting decades before they were ready for warfare. It was a long, demanding process, but one that many rulers believed was worth the investment. Of course, war elephants are no longer a military asset today, and given the plight of Asian elephants, threatened by habitat loss, poaching and illegal capture, this is history best left in the past. These majestic animals deserve protection, not mousetraps.